Just back from IT Nation Secure 2025 and right outside of Orlando. It was a great event. Many vendors, many MSPs, just focused on security. The keynote kicked off and there was 4 people up on stage, a panel, and they were from different companies, not just ConnectWise. ConnectWise is trying to make this community, not just what they offer, but with others as well. But the vendor hall was full. There was lots of great vendors. I was able to have 16 conversations with great guests right there at the resort. I had great guests, great guests. First started with Gene Templin, MSP Sales Reimagined. Gene's in the Pitch It program, the ConnectWise, it's not new, but new for this year, incubator program. Jamie Williams, my friend from a long time ago, marketing before sales. MSPs, are you listening? Oh, Ricardo from Lumu. Yes, my fellow aviator. I've known Ricardo for a couple of years now, and great conversation. Ricardo. Oh, Rayanne, of course, Rayanne from ABC. The name of the episode is From Cables to Closing. Fascinating backstory to Rayanne and what she does now, also in the Pitch It program. Mike Estep from Blackpoint Cyber. Great story from MSP to vendor now. Blackpoint's a great security company, and it was a great conversation with Mike. Mark Balanov, first time I met Mark, really great conversation. Really enjoyed it. Talking about cyber lessons. David Chernitsky, fascinating background from Russia to Israel to Canada to what he knows about the martial arts and everything he learned from the best people in cybersecurity there in Israel. Great conversation. David, Matt Holland, first time I met Matt, great conversation from Spy Tech to MSP Simplicity. Tanner Cookson, fascinating from great company. MSPs getting paid quickly. We talked about rowing, riding, and revenue. Tim Weber, cybersecurity firm now. He's a volunteer firefighter in Connecticut, my home state. Joel Cahill, great conversation with Joel. I've known Joel for quite a while now. First time we ever sat and talked like this. The episode's Cold Plunges, Hot Takes, and Cyber Strategy. But great conversation with Joel. Paul Lupo from Bitdefender. Paul's been around for quite a while, and he has great stories and great insight on the great company that Bitdefender is. David Rasapor from ConnectWise, new CPO. Wonderful insights from David, his background in Iran, and David is just a true engineer. Ozzy Saeed from Compliance, he actually helped write the specs to CMMC. Fascinating conversation with Ozzy and the saltwater fish tanks as well, one of his great hobbies. Sarvash Rao, of course, I've known Sarvash for a couple of months now, really focusing on MSPs, helping those SMBs with his with the security platform. And of course, ended with Matthew Benazari. Great conversation about, started with climbing. He's a great climber, about cyber fires and MSP fortitude there at Arete, and great conversation. Thanks all for being part of this, and thanks everyone for listening and watching.
Hi, I'm Joey Pinz, and here's my 45-second introduction. After starting my business in the 90s, I started developing poor habits of eating in my diet because of working way too much. Found myself at 340 pounds. The doctor told me if I don't lose the weight, I'm not going to see my daughter graduate. I took the next 7 months, lost 130 pounds. People ask me, how'd you do it? What's the secret? I need to lose weight. How'd you do it? How did I lose the weight? Just one word: discipline. I've had other successes in life, and I attribute them all to discipline. Now, I'm not the king of discipline, but I believe that it can help all of us. Friends convinced me to start a podcast. The podcast mission: how do we better ourselves and society? I talk to interesting people in health, fitness, sport, wellness, business, technology, science, art, and culture. And I eventually ask them how discipline plays a role in their life. Podcast vision: growth through learning from others.
You say you have a dog with a beagle mix.
Yeah.
People love. Tell me about your dog.
Her name is Prim. We rescued her. She just turned 10 this year. Beautiful brown and white. Got healer and another mix that was on the paperwork. You got to trust the paperwork. She's basically a tall beagle.
How tall?
I want to say maybe 1.5 feet.
Wow.
She's thinner than a beagle, but she has the beagle head, the ears, the eyes. So she gets whatever she wants.
And where did Prim come from?
My kids, I have 4 kids, and Primrose Everdeen, obviously, from the Hunger Games. I was throwing around Boba Fett. I was throwing around a lot of Star Wars names, and everybody's just kind of looking at me. And because I had the kids, my wife said, "What about Prim?" And the kids were like, "Sure, that's great." I'm like, "Boba, no."
So
That's her middle name now.
Boba.
Primrose Boba Fett Lupo.
Did you play hockey?
Not professionally, not organized. I played a lot of pickup hockey
I see.
after high school. I didn't realize I could play until I picked up a stick and put on some skates. But I've been watching it for as long as I can remember.
And your team?
The Bruins,
You're a Boston guy.
from Boston,
Yeah.
born and raised.
Yeah.
Living in Orlando now, believe it or not.
Why? Because the winters.
There's a handful of things. One, every event I was going to, I was flying here.
Right.
And the kids, having 4 of them, we were coming here for vacation. I was here more than I was home, especially in the winter.
Interesting.
And my wife was like, "Why am I shoveling snow in December and you're down in Florida?" So we made the decision.
Smart.
After the high school was done, we sold the house and moved down.
Yeah, I did something very similar. I don't hear Boston in your voice.
I used to work for a speech recognition software company where I had to teach people how to speak and have voice recognition, understand them. But if you get me at the bar with a few beers, my buddies, it's a very different story. I do park the car in the Harvard Yard, take the bus over to the bar, all those good things.
So you're Celtics, Bruins, Patriots, Red Sox,
Yes.
Revolution.
Revolution. That 1 year, that 04 to 07, actually, not just 1 year, those 3 years.
Yeah.
3 years, there it came.
Yeah, I know, I
All
heard.
of the Bruins teams in that 3-year span were champions, including the Revolution, the Red Sox, the Celtics, and the Patriots and the Bruins. It was just a wonderful time to be
Boston
a
strong.
sports fan in Boston.
Yeah. It's a great city. It's just I'm from New Haven.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
it's just south.
So you get to choose. Am I a Giants fan
two
or am I a
guys,
Patriots fan?
Two guys, yeah, I'm the worst. I'm actually Yankees Patriots.
I love that.
Because Patriots is New England.
I'm not gonna fault you for that.
Yeah. But I've been to many. I love Fenway Park.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
not a Red
beautiful.
Sox hater. I know like you have to be. I always liked to. Back when I was a kid, it was Yastrzemski, it was
Yep.
Rice, it was
Yes.
Fisk,
Oh yeah. I remember them all.
Yeah.
I used to have the Yastrzemski. You get that helmet.
That's
And it's
right.
got his number 8 in the back,
Yeah.
and Yaz everywhere.
Wow.
And then you got the greats like Bobby Orr. You got everybody's like, well, you had such a good run with that first round pick, Tom Brady. Dude, he was 6th round.
Right.
Nobody wanted Tom Brady.
Incredible. Yes. The greatest quarterback of all time was
Wonderful.
6th round.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely incredible. We're here, Paul, IT Nation, your backyard, secure
Yep.
for the week. What are some of your goals this week?
So I'm here to understand what is coming, what are the needs of some of our mutual customers are. So we have a lot of similar interests when it comes to servicing the MSP community. The ecosystem here with ConnectWise, we have an integration with just about everything they do, all their platforms. So for me, it's twofold. Talk to people who might have questions about Bitdefender and what we're doing new, but also talk to the teams at Bitdefender and at ConnectWise and the MSPs to see how do we make those integrations better. I understand it's all about the platform. I understand that we need to make sure that it's as close as possible to never having to leave the ConnectWise platforms as possible. So part of my job is to understand what are the needs there and how do we bring those to product management, engineering, to make you want to stay to help you stay in the ConnectWise platform while still getting Bitdefender everywhere you need it.
And when MSPs, there's a lot of security vendors here in the pavilion.
Yeah.
What questions should they be asking them to qualify them to be partners with them?
The MSPs asking the security vendors. I've been on this side of the fence for 20 years now. I got my start as a security vendor in 2005, and I haven't turned back. It's one of those things where once you get into security, you're not getting out, right? You can try. I've tried. The need for always evolving, always changing. What have you done recently that makes my security solution that I'm offering to my customers better than it was yesterday, right? What are you doing new? What is surprising? What is it that you're doing that nobody else is doing? What are third-party analytics and critics and evaluators, what are they saying about me and my competitors? It's one thing for me to say we're the best. it's so much nicer to hear it when someone else says you're the best. And I love that. And when you start looking at those third-party reports, it's pretty evident.
What is it about the MS community you like?
And it's an extension of what I need to do to get to their customers, right? So in my lifetime, it's about partnerships. Everything I do is about partnering with someone who can help me tell my message to someone else. And in this community, if you can convince the MSPs who you need to convince, they're not just going to walk up and say, yeah, sure, I'll take it. You know, they've done their homework. They know who they like, who they don't like. It's my job to understand what their needs are, where I fit, and then help them relay that message to their communities. And this particular community is everybody's friends here, right? It's so different than when you're out in the street battling and you're competing with each other. Here, they get along, they're having fun, and I want to be a part of that.
So how does Bitdefender help MSPs?
We have a security platform that is from an endpoint security all the way up to XDR, MDR, risk analytics that are included. There's some things that are add-ons. There's a lot out of the gate that's included as a core product that you might replace 4 or 5 tools with one, and that includes some of the things that you are paying extra money for, and you're taxing those systems with more resources for, where we can bring that back to one agent on the endpoint at a lower cost to give you those 4 or 5 things, and that's just the core product. When you start talking about, okay, what about endpoint detection response? What about managed detection response? You know, my organizations that I'm working with, the cybersecurity insurance rules, the compliance, they're all saying I have to go in this direction. Bitdefender went in that direction as well to be able to provide those types of solutions in a single console, single agent, all manufactured by the same vendor, so we don't have to trust third-party information that really is a threat, because we've already done all the analytics. We've already done that process that says, yeah, this is bad. We need to do something about it. Very aggressive on prevention, too. We're not a reactionary organization. We're aggressive on prevention.
So left of boom.
Always have been. But we also have right of boom.
And tell me what that is, left and right of boom.
So if you don't understand what's about to happen, you can't prevent it. If you can keep your eyes on what's about to happen, understand there's a threat in there. Might look like a normal user, right? They got credentials. This user logs in every single day. That's Paul. Paul does this every single day. Well, why did Paul just open up a PowerShell? Oh, he's just running a script, no problem. But why is he now doing embedded commands? That's a little scary to me. I can't trust what I can't see. I got to flag that. Now, Bitdefender actually just released some stuff called Phaser, proactive hardening attack surface management. Right? So it automates that locking down of those pieces of software, such as PowerShell. So if I just run normal commands, no problem. But if I'm doing something suspicious, I can automatically have it locked down. If I understand your user and everything that you do, I understand what apps you use every single day. I can put you in a bucket that says those are normal for you. The second you try something out of the normal, I can lock it down. And we're automating that. There's an autopilot that we just put everybody in the bucket of admins, support, whoever, and then that bucket gets, these applications are okay. These applications are not okay. And anytime there's a deviation, we can automatically lock it down. We also have a manual mode, so if you want to drive yourself, we'll let you. But we've automated that process of, that's a risky application, and we layer the user risk on top of it to make sure that it's not being taken advantage of. That's called Phaser. It was released, it's PHASR, just released a couple months ago, and we're really, really getting great feedback on it right now.
And did you see a need? Did Bitdefender see a need for that product, or you asked to do it, or both?
We are always, since our inception back in 2001, part of what we do, if you look through the history of innovations in this industry, Bitdefender has always been right there at the forefront of it. And since our inception, we've got more patents on our technology than I can even remember. There are hundreds, including artificial intelligence, including machine learning and other things. When you look at how those are helping shape the unknown and protections from the unknown, we're really at the forefront of that. When we see things and we look at them from what's going to happen that we don't know, and how do we protect against what we don't know. So those technologies, those scientists, those data scientists and engineers getting together, and they say, okay, how do we make sure that this doesn't slip through because it looked normal, I'm supposed to be logged into this machine. That's an application that I do use. But what if it was someone on the that was someone's credentials were taken advantage of? Right? I can run a policy out that says, randomize those BitLocker passwords and then send them off to a server and encrypt them so only I can have them, right? That's not normal for me.
Right.
So that should be something you can be aware of and protect against. And that's something that Bitdefender is doing with that phaser. We've taken it to the level of, that's not normal for this user, so let's shut it down.
What should vendors do to become better partners for MSPs? Paul?
That's a tough one. Everybody that I talk to is really good at what they're doing, right? What I do is help you understand where your security stack might need a little bit of enhancing. They already understand their customers' needs. Marrying those two things, what does a particular solution do, and is that a need that my customer has, and does my customer understand that's a need they have, right? So there's always that balance of, I don't want to disrupt production, I don't want to disrupt cost and do those things that MSPs and then customers have disagreements over. But to be able to, we're at an event called Secure, right? If you're really good at security, then you can be better at other things, right? And I don't mean that in any mean way, but if you're always worried about security, how do you do those other things like building systems, backups, application hosting, all that stuff that your customer needs if you're always looking over your shoulder about security? So if you get better at security, in my opinion, I believe that helps you get better at other things because you're not worried about those things.
What is it about security, Paul, that drives you?
I don't think I'm ever going to be unemployed in this crazy world that we live in, because they're not going to wake up one day and say, we're not going to do any bad things anymore. Right. There's always an ability to stay active in the community. There's always something driving forward. There's something new coming out. And I like being part of that. How do you combat that? How do you fight that? I like being part of that team that says, we got you back.
Is AI helping or hurting?
I actually did a blog on this earlier this year. I believe they augment each other. You can't replace humans with AI. You can use AI to help make what you do easier and quicker, but it has to have some oversight to say, okay, but was that right? Right? I've used ChatGPT. I've looked at what it's come out, and I'm going, okay, some of that was right, but not all of it was. Right? So AI is very helpful, but it's not a replacement for the humans.
And that'll never change.
I hope not. I saw Terminator.
Well, that kind of ended well, I guess. Yeah.
I learned the most important thing you learn from that movie. If Arnold Schwarzenegger knocks on your door and asks if you're Sarah Connor, your answer is no.
So just tell him the truth. Has there been anything in the last month or so, Paul, you changed your mind on?
Wow. I was not expecting that question. I like to believe I don't know everything.
Right.
I like being challenged, and I like when someone asks me something like that I have to think about, because otherwise it's just, I could do that in my sleep. Nobody's asked me that question in a really long time. So I would never not prepared for it. So is
no
there
wrong
any,
answer, small
I know,
or large?
I know, I'm just thinking.
Somebody recently said to me that they went from well done to medium done burgers. It's a pretty big move, though.
It is it's a move in the right direction,
yes,
right?
Yes, it's really juicy.
Honestly, I would rather have someone else change my mind than me just deciding I don't want to do that or I don't like that anymore.
Interesting.
Right? If we have a good conversation and I can see your point of view, great. You just taught me something that I didn't have the right point of view, and that maybe I'm more open to understanding how your point of view is. So if you can make me change my mind, I'd rather that happen than me just changing my mind. Because I decided to put on sneakers today instead of old man shoes, right? So that was this morning.
Right.
the old men's shoes are more comfortable.
They are.
But I guess, I changed my mind this morning on what I was going to wear to this event.
What motivates you, Paul?
I have 4 kids, and I need to make sure that whatever I'm doing supports all the things they need to do.
Your family, your legacy.
Absolutely.
And does security have a part in protecting your family?
Yes. My kids understand what to click on and what not to click on. My kids understand when they get that text that says, hey, you owe us some, you didn't pay these parking tickets, or you didn't pay your tolls. They understand that's not real. Some of my elder relatives, mom, whoever, I'm not going to point a finger directly at you, Mom. But she likes the Facebook posts and clicks on things, and then calls me and says, hey, I don't know what happened, but I was on Facebook, and now my computer's doing this. Ma, what'd you click on? So it depends on, are they younger than me, older than me, or the same age?
Yeah.
I've been able to really help my kids understand, just because of how long I've been in this industry, that don't trust anything, right? And that's another thing that Bitdefender is zero trust, right? Never trust, always verify. So I teach that to my kids too, because I don't want them getting into a position. Okay, I'll use an example. My son got a job offer, and they wanted him to go to ID Me, the government website,
Yes.
and then send them all of his government documents. And I was like, and he was smart enough to come to me and say, Dad, is this real? Before he started that process. And I logged into mine, and I'm like, yeah, that looks real. I said, but I wouldn't do it. But he knew enough to come and ask me before just giving away his personal information. That's how 20 years in this industry affects a 22-year-old kid. As long as he's pretty much been on the earth, I've been in this industry.
So given that motivation of your family, your legacy, how do you measure success, Paul?
Am I happy?
How often are you taking inventory of that?
All the time. And are the people around me happy? Did I make someone smile today? Am I smiling today? I measure success in well, obviously I need to be able to put food on the table. So there's different measures of success. My measure of success is, am I happy, and are the people around me happy? Do they like being around me? Do I like being around them? That means I made some pretty good choices.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't imagine anybody not being happy around you, Paul. I had the great pleasure of talking, recording with Martin Zurich.
Zurich, yep. I love Martin.
Wow.
Now that's the phaser guy right there.
Oh,
And
man.
the ransomware and all that stuff. He's a guy that I do envy everything that he does, and we have a very particular skill set. Martin takes everything our data scientists and engineers create and turns it into human readable information. I take what Martin talks about and turns into salespeople readable information. So we're a really good tandem.
Completely different languages. All of
Completely
those.
different languages.
Yeah.
That's a skill set that I've possessed for a long time. I cut my teeth in support. I made it into an SE role. I made it into the sales role. I've been in all aspects of this antivirus, anti-malware, cybersecurity industry, from support to sales and everywhere in between. So I have a unique take on how to position things, and I do things in very, very understandable language. So one of my my getting from regular antivirus, anti-malware to MDR, one of my presentations talks about a car, right? The old school, you had a seatbelt, you had an airbag, and a crumple zone. Now you've got sensors all around you, and when something bad does happen, you got OnStar calling you, Mr. Lupo, we see you were in an accident. Do you need us to call an ambulance? That's the MDR piece. And if you can take those pieces and explain it in a way that everybody understands, they're going to have an easier time explaining it to their customers.
Yeah, he was a real treat, and even
Love him.
man, and I still think about the conversation because I was asking him just about the mindset of these bad actors, especially in Eastern Europe.
Yeah.
And he was saying how a lot of them are just resentful that they don't have the opportunities of jobs like we have in the West, and they use that as fuel. And there's a fascinating conversation. So, Paul, I started my MSP back in the 90s. I'm from New Haven, south of Boston there,
Yep.
of course. Pizza and Yale. That's
Yeah.
And was working 14, 16-hour days. You're no stranger to this.
No.
And next thing I know, I'm at the doctor's office. I'm at 340 pounds. She says to me, if you don't lose this weight, you're not going to see your daughter graduate.
Yeah.
Scared the life
Yep.
out of me.
It worked.
Driving home, punching the steering wheel. What have I done to myself? I can abuse me all I want, but I've got this child now.
Yep.
Spent the next 6-7 months, lost about 120 pounds.
Wow.
Kept it off. And when I tell people this, I say, what's the secret? What'd you do? I say, discipline. That's how I did it. Willpower, focus. How does discipline play a role in your life, Paul Lupo?
Well, I have to remember that I'm still human.
Yeah.
And everything I do does affect everybody around me. So I that's again the positivity and the laughter and the smiling, right? So I don't let myself get in situations that anything takes that away from me anymore. I did myself go up to 306 pounds a while ago. I'm down to 280-ish right now. I got a goal.
Sure.
I'm not there yet, but I fluctuate because sometimes I'm disciplined, sometimes I'm not, just like everybody else.
Just like everybody.
So discipline affects you different ways.
Yeah.
Where I also try to have some discipline is that work-family balance. As you said, for a long time it didn't exist. As I've gotten into more senior roles and having people working for me, I try to instill in them that you need time for yourself too, right? So I try to help them discipline themselves that their calendar isn't a 12-hour calendar without getting up, without taking a potty break, without getting lunch. So if you're working for me, I expect you to take those things. I expect you to take time off. I expect you to take care of yourself because nobody else will.
There in Boston as a child, was discipline instilled in the family? Was it just kind of...
I grew up in the projects outside of Boston. There was a lot of discipline. It was a very rigid childhood.
Really?
Yeah, and it shaped me into who I am today. I will take nothing away from it. Nothing can change that would make me any different because this is who I am. It's who I want to be. Yes. That journey led me here. But yeah, there was a lot of discipline growing up. Puerto Rican Italian family. You get mad, then you get madder.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So your message, Paul, this week to the MSPs here at ConnectWise IT Nation Secure is what?
Enjoy it.
Yeah.
Enjoy it. Everything you do here, enjoy it. If you're not, if you're in something, a session or something you think, oh, maybe this isn't for me, just give it a little more time. Let's see if it's something that maybe is for you. Talk to the vendors a little more. A lot of on both sides. I'm not pointing the finger on either side. It's hard to communicate a message when you don't know what to communicate, right? What questions you don't need to ask. Just start by asking questions. So what do you do? What are you doing new? Same with anybody who's in the vendor booths, right? A lot of us have been doing this a long time, and we get to that point where like, I'm at another booth. Well, don't let it get that way, right? If you're at that point, maybe you need to tell someone else should go to that booth.
Very cool, Paul. Thanks so much for your time. Anybody watching or listening, if they want to get in touch with you.
Absolutely. You can catch me on LinkedIn. My email address is plupo@bitdefender.com. And I think my LinkedIn is just pmlupo.com. .com/in/pmlupo.
Right.
And if you want to connect to me that way, that's great. Email address. I don't give up my phone number because I did that once and that blew up and I had to get a new phone number.
Yeah, Lupo is Lupo, just like it sounds.
That
Paul
is the
Lupo.
wolf in Italian.
That's right, Lupo.
Thank you for listening and or viewing Joey Pinz Discipline Conversations. Please share this episode with one or two of your friends who you think may benefit from the episode. Our website, www.joeypins.com. There you'll find lots of resources and you could join our mailing list. Please follow us on all our social media, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Podcast information, the video version of our podcast is on YouTube. Please subscribe. Audio is on all major podcasting platforms. Please follow them. And if you like it, please consider giving 5-star rating. Would really appreciate that. Thank you again for listening or watching Joey Pinz Discipline Conversations.